What's up, you bastards? We're back on It's Tough, the magnum.traub podcast. Today on It's Tough, we have Graham, a.k.a. Bobby. I don't know what to say about this guy. I just love him. I figure I had to have him on. He's a pretty interesting dude. But before we get into any of the convos or anything, you guys know what you gotta do. You gotta hit the sub button, okay? We're at 52 subs right now. Let's get this bitch to 60, okay? We can do 60 from this video.
Go for 100.
I mean, we could go for 100, but I think that's too much to ask right now. But little increments, but let's get to 60. Just, come on, let's get up there.
I mean, y'all got two Bradenton celebrities in this room at the same time right now. So, it's worth a sub.
All right, fuck it. With that reasoning, how can you go wrong? Also, like it if you enjoyed it, you learned anything from it. Comment if you got any corrections of me, anything you want to talk to me about, any questions you have. And the final thing is I did it on Colton's interview, and I'm going to do it on this one too. I think I'm going to do the timestamp thing. So if you want to, a guy I talked to on the chairlift, he said when he introduces all his podcasts, he says, skip around it like a porno. So if you guys want to skip around like a porno, I'm going to put the money shots down below, okay, so you can see all the topics that we're going to talk about. Shut the fuck up, Bob. Okay. So you want to just start it out, tell them how we met and shit?
All right, yeah, let's go for it. So for anybody that knows me in real life, obviously I've been a tennis player for nearly my entire life at this point, and I'm currently playing in college.
What university?
Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But taking it back to where it all began, I'm going to say like 9 or 10 years old, and he was probably eight-ish. And we played each other twice in 10 and under tournaments, like junior USTA, like the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, the bottom of the barrel.
That's the most
events.
ratchet.
Exactly.
Like that's where like the most like grinding and shit is done.
The Sekou
under
Bangura
10s. Yeah,
locals.
that's what it was.
Exactly. Like Bradenton, Sarasota. So that's how we met, and we played against each other twice. And
we weren't really fond of each other. You could say
well, no, because I mean, when you're 10 years old and you're playing in these tournaments, whatever, like you're led to believe, especially in like such a like tennis oriented town like this one.
This is the most important moment of your life.
Exactly. Like
you win, you've won life.
Yeah, exactly.
You lose, you might as well die.
Exactly. Like you're like 10 years old and you're like blasting like Eye of the Tiger through your iPod Nano, like as you're walking up to like this court that's in like the back because no one even wants to look at you playing. Like it's pretty much like that. So yeah, that's how we met, and I'm pretty sure I won.
I think you won both times,
which caused you to do some interesting stuff, like threaten to stab and choke out like some guy that was.
Well, I'll tell the story.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, so
that's why we weren't fond of each other. Long story short.
The second time we played, whatever, I had 3 broken toes from kicking one of my sister's like stuffed animals.
Horse.
No, it was actually a lion, but it had wood framing in the middle. So it wasn't me just kicking some fucking cotton. It was me kicking a little bit of cotton, but a whole lot of wood. And I fucking teed off on it because she pissed me off for some shit. And it's better than kicking her, right? And I broke 3 of my toes. They were like black and blue. I had them all taped up. And somehow I still made it to I think we played in the finals. Because I remember I tell the story. Well, I lost. But this kid, Braden Schnurr, he's now top 100 in the world, you said?
Like top 100 in the world professionally.
Like he's a pretty good player. And he was like 13 or something at the time. And, you know, we're all playing and he's on your team, if you will.
He was in my box.
Yeah. So he's behind the net or behind the fence saying some shit to me. And I'm fucking getting heated. You know, I was a little pissed off. And I end up losing and he probably got in my head a little bit. So as we're walking back to the tournament desk to like, you know, give away the balls and do it, that's how you had to leave. I look at my dad and I take off my backpack. I'm like, I'm going to jump on this fucker's back. He said, don't you fucking do it. So I'm like, all right, fuck, I can't do it or else I'm going to get my ass beat. So I put back on my backpack and I'm walking by the tournament desk. Granted, everyone's there. Like, say, the guy who's running the tournament, all that shit. You remember? It was like right up front.
Of course, yeah.
And I walk by Braden and I say, I'm going to slit your throat with a switchblade. I made sure to get the switchblade part in there because I really wanted a switchblade. So I figured, you know, the law of attraction. If I put that energy out in the universe, I'm going to get a switchblade one day.
You know, you figured you'd get a switchblade, not like a felony murder or assault
I was
charge. But hey,
fucking 8 years old. What the fuck do I give a shit? I would have gotten off clean for that. Anyways, so I yell this, and my father looks at me, and I just keep fucking walking. We walk to the car, and he didn't know whether to reprimand me, whether not to. He's like, whatever the fuck. Like, I don't even know what to say. And then Sekou Bangor, the head guy of the tournament, comes running out. And Jake's like, oh, fuck. Like, we're going to get USTA revoked. Like, we're going to be in some shit. He hands me my runner-up trophy because I was so pissed I just fucking left it there. And we're like, okay, we were laughing about it in the car. But that was the second time me and Graham actually talked. And, well, I wasn't very fond of him. But after that, we hung out through mutual friends together.
Yeah, literally fast forward like 6 or 7
5
years.
Yeah, like, it was a while.
Yeah, and then
like, I was probably 14, 15.
And I mean, I was like newly 16,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we kind of like reconnected through some mutual friends, and
then the rest is history. We've just been friends.
Exactly.
We hung out. We went to Miami together last summer.
I mean, it all started with like a shots contest, like a drinking contest.
Yeah, sure. That's how it started.
I mean, I'm not wrong. Like
you aren't.
That's kind of how we became homies.
That's how
we literally like went through the gutter together. That
we
night.
Died together.
Exactly. And from there it was kind of like
2 stories actually.
Yeah, like just because like the statute of limitations and everything, I'm not going to go into all of them.
Okay, but, I think that's enough.
Yeah, yep. Move on.
And so that's how me and Graham met. Now we're friends, and he's a car guy. You create companies.
Yep, I do a lot of stuff.
So let's just start out with like what are you interested? Like what gets you into all these things?
I mean, as far as what got me into cars, since that's the first thing that you mentioned.
Talk to me, bro.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much from a young age, like my dad was more or less into cars, more so classics. And, you know, we grew up north. Car scene's not really amazing up there, but like he had the classic Lincoln, and, you know, he would always take me along to like classic car shows with him and everything else. And like, you know, screw around and do donuts in the snow. Not in that, but like in other cars that he had, and like told me stories of when he was younger in his cars, and like, you know, all the movies and everything else. Like I was just like really like big into it. And then as I got older, you know, obviously I started to drive myself and go to like all of the car shows, like for my own vehicles and like my own enjoyment solo. And then, like, even though at this point now, like I'm not really big into like going to meets and like standing around in a parking lot, like talking about all that. Like I'll get into my reasoning for that later. But yeah, I mean, just the love for like building something and putting it together and being able to just drive it and enjoy it. And I mean, it is kind of cathartic, like being able to just have something tangible that like you've put together and like you've done the work on it, and like you can just enjoy it and look at it and drive it, and just like, I mean, it's just everybody
fondle it, post Instagram pictures with it.
Another thing to get into later. But yeah, I mean, everybody has their own thing that's like a main like hobby outside of their day job, if you will. And you know, that's always been something that's been a part of my life, and you know, I don't see it ever changing. So that's that. And then as far as my like businesses and that type of thing.
Talk to me.
Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, I've done a lot of stuff, and pretty much everything has been self-taught in one way or another. The first thing that I really ended up doing was a lot of like Photoshop and graphic design, like type related work.
You always were into all that shit.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that literally started by just me being like 13, 14, whatever, just wanting to like design cars and like screw around with stuff like that. So kind of ended up like self-teaching myself, like Photoshop and Lightroom, like all sorts of like visual design tools and like editing software and stuff like that. And then eventually I realized like, hey, like I can make money on this.
Yeah.
Everything has kind of been dictated by like the fact that like I need expensive shit to make me happy. So like my willingness to like try new stuff and like teach myself things, whatever, it's always kind of been driven by like,
well, you're trying to push yourself.
Exactly.
To, like, get that check.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm trying to like push myself to be able to get like my goals, which at most points has been like physical like things.
Objects.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you had an
I had an FRS that.
You had an FRS.
Yeah,
Two of them.
No, I had one.
Oh, just one.
Yeah, it met an unfortunate end, and then I had a X5, like the big ass SUV.
But that was a nice one too.
I mean, it was nice. Yeah, it was fast. Like I put an unfortunate amount of money into that too. And then for, in 3 weeks, it'll have been 2 years with the M5.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's largely my claim to fame. Like, I'm pretty sure most people, when they think of like Graham Conron, they think of like my white M5. That,
obnoxious but it's not just a white M5.
Okay, yeah.
It's a white M5. Okay, I live on a road. Okay, I live on a big street. I can hear him 2 lights down, and these lights. I mean, it's what, half a mile away, at least.
I mean,
I can if he's like just lays into it, like taking off from the light, I can be like, fuck Graham's clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's as far as like sneaking out goes, or like
it's impossible
being like inconspicuous literally anywhere. Like you'd be better off like wearing, I don't know, like a stuffed panda head and like playing like a guitar everywhere you go, and that would not get as much attention as my car does, unfortunately. But it's also.
But you also enjoy it. Shut the fuck up. Oh, come on, you love that shit.
I do love it. Like it even that's like it's like there's two sides to it. Like sure, because like I've put so much attention and energy and everything into making the car what it is. Obviously, I love like having conversations about it. Whatever, like
you love talking about it. But there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that you're passionate about, you're going to want to share it with people. And that's pretty much as far as it goes. Because, like, the annoying part about that is, like, say I'm just driving around or, like, don't want to be bothered. Or even if I have passengers in the car, like, some asshole in a Honda Civic, like, and this happens almost every day, at least once. Someone will just pull up right next to me and not move and just start revving next to me, or just like do a mini pull and like try to egg me on to race them. And like, frankly, unless someone's in like a supercar or a Hellcat or something that's like also.
Yeah, I mean, we were racing CL or C63S's, right? Or AMG. It was a C63 AMG, right?
I don't even.
In Miami. And then a V12 Vantage. Remember when we were cruising with them on the highway?
Yeah, I don't remember much of that drive, but yeah, I mean, basically, unless it's like something that's worthwhile and I'm in like a time and place that it's like
you're ready for
justifiable to do that, like i.e. my mother isn't sitting next to me, like then sure, I'll go for it. But like most of the time it's just not really worth the gas. And then I like have some dude like staring at me like as I'm just cruising or like going somewhere like chilling. He's like,
it has like 700 horse. You said what are the statistics on it?
Right around there. I mean, it's making a little bit over 700 crank and then high sixes to the wheels.
I got a question though when it comes to this shit, because I'm not a big car guy. I'm a little car guy. Like I understand I can shoot the shit with them, but I'm not like totally immersed in the culture, so to speak. I know because I've been in the car with you. You say if you give it through full throttle, it spins out the tires, and I've seen it. Like we'll be just cruising, you'll hit it, and it'll go, and then nothing. Like it won't it'll lose traction.
Exactly.
Right. At what point do you think it's like the car is too much? Like as an overall car, don't you think that that's a little too much, like power and shit?
I mean, yes and no. Just because like it depends on the platform of the car. Like really, what's too much for it? Like for a car like that. Where I'm at right now with it, like, and it's running pump gas, everything else. Cause like I daily drive it. Like, literally.
I mean, how many miles does it have on it? It's got
70, just crossed 74,000.
I mean, you got to use, but still you fucking drive that bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Like I put probably, I put well over 2,000 miles a month on it. When I'm here in Florida, at least.
Yeah.
Too much for that car would be pretty much if I had to put an ungodly amount of money into like, upgrading like factory components that don't make it faster. Like if I was upgrading things literally because they would break if I didn't, because the car was that fast, that would be it like too much to daily drive.
But you don't think that this is too much?
No, not at all. Cause I mean, everything is stock aside from what I've done. And obviously I have to maintain it like on a more rigorous like basis. Maintenance schedule than I would if it was completely stock. But no, like frankly, it's nearly like fully bolt on, whatever. It's like a car term, but like I've done pretty much as I can to it. And it's still been far more reliable than some of them that I've seen that are bone stock.
But do you think, say, if you had 100 less horsepower, it'd almost be better to... Because then you could give it, like, full throttle and it wouldn't totally toast the tires, you know?
I don't think so because, I mean, I have a fairly conservative tune on it. I mean, I could have gone for at least another 50 to 75 horsepower over what it's making with the current setup with probably no other issues in that. But, like, the thing gets, like, 8 miles per gallon. Yeah. Like, if I go to Tampa and back, I've used up probably 3/4 of a tank of gas. Like,
that's a 2-hour total drive.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that type of thing is, obviously no bueno for daily driving it, but also, like, it's a super heavy car. So, like, too much power in that thing when it weighs nearly 4,000 pounds, and with, a handful of people in it, it's easy over 4,000. It's fast. It's stupid fast. It's loud. It's obnoxious. And, I can't really leave my condo without the dude that lives right above my garage telling me to go fuck myself. But, I enjoy it. And
it's a nice ass fucking car.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like it and it's happy and it doesn't like ruin your day. To me, and you're happy. Yeah. For me, like if I were to drive that, like I think it'd be nice. Like when I get on the highway, I'd be like, fuck yeah.
I mean, it is.
But at the same time, I feel like, it takes some getting used to. That's for damn sure.
Oh, it absolutely does. Like with literally anything, there's going to be positives and negatives of it. But for me, the pros of that thing far outweigh the cons just because and also it is ungodly fast. Like if someone spits on the ground and I drive over that puddle of spit, like I'm going to kick the rear end out. Like driving, like it forces you to be fully alert at all times. And that even that in and of itself has saved my ass a handful of times. Just because, like, I was already prepared just because of the car I was driving, that if I was, in something like normal or slow, whatever, I wouldn't have been paying that close of attention. Yeah. And, maybe wouldn't have been ready to, like, avoid an accident or whatnot. But yeah, that's enough about the car. Like, if you guys really just want to know strictly about the car, just follow me on Instagram.
But he also let's keep talking because I mean cars are like I'll put the timestamp in the whatever comments, and then we just can keep talking about cars, and then we'll cars, a car scene, all that shit, and then we can move on to something else.
All right, cool. Chapter 2, cars.
Chapter 1, M5. Chapter 2, cars. So let's keep it in Beamer Town.
Okay.
You post a lot about it on your Instagram, AG Conran, which we're going to link below. We also are going to link below your other Instagram that's strictly for Beamers called
BMWfueled. It's just at BMWfueled.
It's I follow it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm your friend, and it's fucking sick, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I'm not that into Beamers, but you see some of these, you're like, damn, that bitch is bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the premise of that page is honestly just to highlight the owners of the cars and what they've done to it and the stories behind the cars, rather than just posting like a picture of like a fully finished car with like, some random shout out and
so like keeping with the like, listen, this is a hobby. This is something that we want to create. We want to show what we created and how much work we had to do to fucking create this.
Because I mean, like I'm not going to say all, but like a good amount of like massive Instagram pages and companies, like everything that they post is solely for it's solely for like likes and followers and like being able to monetize shit. And that's kind of the same mentality that you see when you go to like car meets locally or even the biggest of events. Like it's all just literally just people circle jerking for attention. Whereas like, don't get me wrong, like
But you were involved in that.
Yeah, I definitely was. And like, that's how I know. Cause like when I was younger, like starting off in that, I went to nearly everything. Like I always like dreamed of being able to like put together or just straight out buy the car that like you pull it up and like everybody wants to look at it and like everybody's going crazy for it, whatever. And then once I finally did that, which it didn't take all that long, it kind of hit me like, okay, well, this is literally meaningless. Yeah. Like, okay, sure, it's getting attention, but like, I really don't care. Like the fun of that and what was the most enjoyable all along was like, the what I actually like about cars is like physically driving
the process.
And like, yeah, exactly. Being by yourself, just with the thing, putting it together,
Yeah.
Like I don't need anybody's like validation. Like I would have put that car together exactly the way I did if I was the last human being on earth, frankly.
Yeah.
Just because I like it just the way it is. Like I'm not doing anything for likes or whatever. So, the BMW page that I created, it's highlighting like that aspect of people's cars. Mm-hmm. And one of my like punchlines is like authentic content only, meaning like I'm trying to show like the real side of like
and you talk to the
car.
actual owner of the car and you get them the quote, like whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Similar to this podcast, like other than like a handful of posts here and there, like I did a giveaway, so I'm not, some of the stuff comes solely from me because also that's my outlet just to share my own car as I go along. Yeah, exactly.
You did.
But similar to this podcast, probably 85 to 90% of the stuff that I post comes directly from the owner. Like I'll DM them before. All right, cool. Mic check. I'll reach out to the owner of the car or they'll reach out to me directly. And I just say, hey, send me your favorite pictures of the car. Send me literally, I tell them just be creative. Just give me like the background of the car, how long you've had it, like what you've done to it. Like, cause at the end of like, that's what it's about. Like anybody can just post a picture. You can just go on Google Images. If you know nothing about cars, you can just look up whatever, like sickest cars 2019.
Sick Beamers.
Yeah, some shit like that. And just like throw some pictures together and, buy some followers here and there. And like, if you just go through the motions in like probably a year, you'd have like 50,000 followers, whatever. Just like, but that's just not what it's about. Like, because again, like there's just a lack of just authenticity in nearly everything.
And you think that authenticity is valuable?
I mean, it absolutely is. Because like, I'm open about me being the person running the page. Because like, and every single person that I've posted their car, even after I'm done with posting that, they still DM me, whether it's on my personal page or that, just because like I'm a real person talking to them about like a common hobby. They
know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
I realized that too when we were driving back and we raced, if you will, hypothetically, allegedly.
It was in Mexico.
Yeah,
it's okay.
And we raced that guy in the Benz.
Yeah.
And you guys, because I'm not in it, I'm fucking ducked down. And Grandma was on the window, and he's talking to the guy, and they're talking. And I mean, they're on the fucking road. Like, we had just gotten off at the exit. And they're just on the road, and they're yelling at each other. But the amount of excitement and, like, happiness and interest blew me away. I'm like, that's pretty sick. Like, I like these car guys. Like, everyone else in the fucking Civics and Sentras, they're all flipping each other off and fuck you, I'm going 90 and this bitch is shaking. But all these guys are like, hey man, that was fun. Like, let's do it again. And it's all positive experience environment.
Exactly. And like, that's really why, that's another reason why I like have no interest in going to like meets and any of that anymore. Cause like, again, like going to these meets and like being like one of the popular people at these car meets, which frankly is a bunch of degenerates standing around a parking lot 90% of the time, it's pretty much like sitting at the cool kids table in a psych ward. Like that's honestly what it is. Whereas like if you just see somebody like out in the wild, whatever, you can do a poll with them, whatever, or even if you just pull up next to a stoplight and they're like asking about your car, whatever. Likewise, like when it's just like that to where it's like, okay, you're just talking about the one thing and you're just on with your day. But like, it's just like a small moment. Like that's like a real connection, if you will. Like, I don't want it to sound like fake emotional, whatever you guys might be.
But it's a common interest.
Yeah, exactly. It's just genuinely just sharing the interest. And then that's it. You don't need to take it further. You don't need to like create some false sense of community. It's just like a split second that it's just like, cool. Like that just happened. Nice.
Yeah,
somebody recognized the effort that I put in and it was likewise. Like that's good no matter literally what the subject is.
Yeah. And all right. I mean, you feel pretty exfoliated about cars?
I mean, it was you telling me to talk about it for the most
part. No, but you like talking about it. I like listening to it. I mean, I learned a shit ton.
Yeah.
Just learning about from you, like the most shit I know about cars.
Probably most of the stuff you learned was like being with me when like, my ignition coils went out on the side of the highway or something. And I had to like, pull the M5 off and whatever, pop the hood and like check the connections and just like clear the codes. And then, okay, we're on our way.
Yeah. Like, but you're always tinkering with it. You're always playing with it, but it's cool. Segue a little bit. You're a student athlete. You mentioned that.
Yep.
You go to Duquesne. You play tennis. How do you like that? How's that experience been?
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot to unpack with this one. I'm really not trying to go into full detail about like tennis specifically, just because like I've never really seen that as like who I am as a person.
Yeah, you said the other day, like,
Yeah.
it takes people sometimes 5 times to meet you to understand, like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm a
exactly.
college athlete.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really seen that as like a flex worthy thing. Like, okay, maybe on a Tinder bio, or whatever, but like, you know how it is.
Check him out on Tinder, ladies.
Yeah, super like. I mean, I just don't really feel like that's like, I don't know. Even if you are that, and if that's like your number one passion in life, like whatever, like there's always more to a person than just something that they do. That's like someone defining, like for me, it's effectively my job.
Yeah.
Like that's how I look at it. Just like if you meet somebody and like the only thing that they want to talk about is the fact that they're like a successful lawyer, it's just like, all right, this guy's a dickhead. Like that's kind of how I see it. It's like, all right, yeah, like I do it, whatever. Like if somebody wants to talk about it, I'll go into it. But I'm not just going to be like, what's up, guys? I'm Graham. I'm a college tennis player. I play Division I tennis, by the way, not Division II or III. I play Division I tennis. Like that type of thing. It's like it's just not really worth, I don't know, bragging about.
That's not what you think's brag worthy. Them 5, maybe a little bit more.
I mean, even that, I don't really brag about it. Like whatever I share, especially on the BMW page, like it just comes from a place of like genuinely being interested in it.
The BMW page though is a specific community. Like all those guys that are following you obviously want to see the fucking cars.
Yeah, exactly.
And hear you talk about them. It's not like
just like I mean,
shows.
even my tennis, like it's I rarely post like just
tennis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
fuck that.
I mean, my tennis team has an Instagram account too, by the way. Like if y'all just want to see pictures of us playing tennis, like
we're not gonna link that in the bio.
Sorry, no.
Yeah, but you also, how do you like school?
I mean, honestly, not really a fan. And I mean, it's not any school in particular. It's just like the concept of having to be in university for 4 years.
Hello?
We've been trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty.
Fuck that. Sorry.
Nice little robocall.
Well, all right. Here's the issue. I wouldn't typically pick up the phone during a podcast. However, the internet guy is coming between 2 and 6 this Monday. And what time is it now after looking at your Rolex?
Like 1:20.
It's not.
No, it's 2:20.
2:20.
2:20, never mind.
Come on, bro. It's okay. Anyways, so, yeah. I just had to check to make sure it wasn't him.
Okay, so anyway.
Back to tennis.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing particular about any school. I mean, I really don't think my opinion of this type of thing would change whether I was at Harvard or like a community college. It's just like having to go through like checkpoint / what feels like something in between like purgatory and a prison in order to like graduate and be accepted into like starting real life.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying. Because like everything that like I've learned outside of like all of my life skills basically have been either self-taught or experiences or like learning from like watching and helping others like in their pursuits, if you will. Like I'm not a classroom learner as far as myself. Like, I mean, I'm not even, I wouldn't even consider myself a very good student, to be honest with you.
That's okay.
No, I mean, real life is not sitting in a classroom and, you know, regurgitating something you read in a textbook. Like, for example, like I would say any older businessman that's been doing whatever they do for many, many years, even they'll tell you everything that they do in their current job has been pretty much learned on the go, and whatever they learned in like college or in a classroom, and that, you know, it's all been secondary to like real life experience and real life training. Just the only thing is with that, like, honestly, the real valuable part about like going to college and finishing college, in my opinion, is just, it's literally just a status symbol to be able to say you graduated and you have a degree.
Yeah.
So you're at the same level as every other like pleb college grad that's like trying to get hired at some like bottom of the barrel job at some corporation, to where, you know, they might be able to like, I don't know, lease a base Mercedes by the time they're 35. Like that for me has like never been, it's never even been an option because it's
But-
just such like a shitty path in my opinion. Like I've never wanted to have, like I've never wanted to
then
work for someone.
What do you
Like,
want to do in the future?
I mean, even right now, like I have, well, my main startup, if you will, I have investor funding for it, have the legal stuff in motion. It's called Invea. It's essentially, well, that's like a mix of the Latin words for like roads and travel and discovery. Kind of mash that up, whatever. It's essentially going to be like Waze, like the navigation GPS type app, except the premise of it is like exploring history and tourism and discovering the area that you're in. Really from like an educational and like an informational standpoint. So say you're driving through a new city or a zip code or an area.
So like what's went on there? And shit
exactly.
like that.
You can, I mean, and the good thing about it, like people ask, oh, what does it do? The whole point of it is it does basically whatever you want it to in the context of exploring an area. You can find out the historical background of, say you're driving through a stretch of nowhere in Florida, like you can find out the historical background of that because there is no matter where you are, there's always going to be something cool about that area. Or you can program it for like current events, things to do there, whether you want nightlife or like restaurants,
whatever.
and it's fully automated, meaning you can use it as a GPS as well, similar to Waze, and it's fully automated. So you don't have to tell it per like trip what you want it to show you. It'll just do that, and it's self-learning. So it'll show you similar results automatically each time you drive after it's customized, and it learns based on what you want it
So
to
are you
do.
creating AI?
It will definitely be algorithm based. I mean, it's not really going into AI because it's not creating anything new.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on AI? You're a computer guy. You're a tech guy. What do you think?
I mean, anything is good in moderation. I mean, I won't even say good, but anything can serve a productive purpose in moderation. I mean, I'm not going to come out here and say I'm like terrified of like my robot overlord named Bubba that's going to like take over and rule my life, whatever. Like that's just not realistic. It might happen, but I hope I'm dead before that. I mean, I think it can really improve all of our lives if it's used correctly, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, especially if it gets to the point of efficiency where like the cost of developing the things, it gets accessible like for normal people to have some type of assistant in their own lives. Like it would honestly remove a lot of menial tasks. And
But don't you think that like fucking the retards, like what are the retards gonna do? Or what are the dumbass, like what are the people that aren't really that high on the totem pole gonna do? Like even McDonald's I think about, like I go in there now. Fuck talking to the people. I want to hit up one of them kiosks because I know if I do the kiosk, I'm in control of exactly what I want. I want less pickles, onion, mustard. Okay, no ketchup, no tomato. Don't give me none of that shit. And I know exactly, and I can type it in, and they won't fuck up. But if I go to the person, they'll fuck up half the time. So, but doesn't that person need a job? What the fuck are they gonna do if AI replaces them?
I mean, I don't care if you're a politician or a professor or the people developing these things. Like, no one knows how they're going to be implemented yet until they are, because it's
true.
such a new technology that frankly, we don't know what the impact of it is going to be. Like it's essentially going to be labor that you don't need to pay for other than once, that you have like a lifespan on, and it can be realistically far more productive than a person could ever be.
Yeah.
And it would only require like basic maintenance, i.e. like plug it in at night, like something like that. So we honestly have no idea. And like you said, people at like the bottom of the totem pole, like them getting pushed out of a job, like, yeah, sure. Right now, like a McDonald's touchscreen order kiosk can do that. But like talking about strictly AI, I mean, I guarantee you in the future, you're going to be saying, oh, well, what about surgeons? This robot can perform damn brain transplant on a person with like a 0.0001 like error rate. You know, like why would I want a person with like shaky hands and like human flaws like working on something like as
so
important
at the end
as,
of
like,
the
my
day,
life?
it's gonna be better off.
I have no idea, because I mean you know, this can go down the rabbit hole of like a utopian society and all that. And like, honestly, if we're going to relate this to politics too, like obviously there's just wildly different views, but it's just too early for anyone to try to predict what it's like and make decisions based off of just an assumption of what it's going to be like. You know, like I've always been like a realist personally.
Keep talking. I got this fucking piece of shit MacBook. Doesn't have any battery life on it, and somehow it's at 14%. So I just want to protect us. But keep talking.
Okay. Yeah. So like, it's just too early for anyone to try to pretend that they know what's going to go on. Just like in talking about like AI and just, you know, overall futuristic stuff that right now has no bearing on our lives, you know?
Yeah.
Because what I hope, and this isn't anything other than just what I hope might happen, is that all of a sudden when we have that and people no longer need to have like straight up bottom of the barrel jobs, it'll allow people to like discover what they're personally good at, like regardless of like background or whatever.
Yeah, but what happens if they're good at like smoking weed and watching Rick and Morty?
Well, I mean, you're always gonna have like just straight up degenerates in society. Like that's literally never going to change. Because I mean, some people either just don't care or don't want to like put in the work to do something. Yeah. But you know, again, no one really knows what's going to happen. So at the moment, it's just not really worth going into.
That's good. You mentioned, what did you mention? Fucking, I'm so stupid. I'm sorry, guys. My fucking brain's fried. So have you had any struggles in school? Like, just in general, like existentially? Like, I mean, because you kind of mentioned there, like, you kind of have a problem with, like, you think it's a load of bullshit and you think you're wasting your time somewhat, right?
I mean, somewhat, like 100%. I mean, if me trying to get a custom plate for my car that says like 1.8 GPA, if that's any inclination of like where my head's at or where it isn't at, then yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like a lot of like my personal issues with school and being in school, anything along those lines is like, well, first of all, I would say 75 to 80 some percent just straight up busy work that just does not need to be done at all. And it has no purpose other than just teaching you to follow orders and comply. Like if someone was, say, like the model college student and followed all the rules, didn't do anything wild, like didn't, you know, these are the people that are supposedly like the perfect hires out of college. And I fully plan on, you know, making a career out of my like entrepreneurial endeavors. And I definitely would not hire someone like that just because they're boring. Like there's no nobility to being a perfect rule follower. There's no nobility in, I'm not going Jordan Belfort, by the way. There's no nobility in poverty, blah, blah, blah.
But there isn't. Fuck being poor.
There definitely is not. Yeah. But there's also no nobility in just being like a perfect model citizen because it literally just shows that you know how to comply. Like there's no creativity there. There's nothing unique about you as a person if you're just solely following orders. And that's really what school is. And even the orders that you're being given, it's just like an example that I was telling Magnum earlier. It's like, take a look in the faculty parking lot of any university, whether it's NYU, Harvard, or Duquesne. Like, look in the faculty parking lot. Seriously. Count how many cars there are worth roughly over like 30 grand. Seriously. Like, why as students are we being taught to be successful by people that have not done it themselves? And I'm just using cars as the example because I've talked about it on in this episode before, but I guarantee you it translates to every other aspect of that professor's life. Like,
their happiness, their everything.
Well, like possession aspect, like basically success.
But what happens if their mission as life is to teach students?
Well, I mean, if I was a philosophy major, I would hope that my professors are teaching me how to be poor because I'm going to be poor too. You know, if I'm in business school and I'm like trying to do something like management or entrepreneurship and like climb that ladder and like that's what my major's like teaching me how to do, like why am I learning how to do that from people that haven't done it themselves? And there are exceptions even at Duquesne, like professors that I've had taken classes from and whatnot. But the vast majority of these people that are so-called like giving me orders and like have authority over me, I wouldn't trust them to walk my dog. Like, why are these people allowed to like control me, so to speak? Because like I know that if I had more time to like follow my own pursuits and whatnot.
I mean, I feel that. Fuck. When I left FSU, or I quit going to class, I've been officially kicked out. I got a letter. They said that my academic performance, I guess, stopping mid-semester.
High five.
Thanks, bro.
Nice.
Stopping mid-semester does not garner you getting off academic probation or anything.
I'm about to be on academic probo too, so
Fuck it. It's good. Hey, man, you're almost there.
almost there to what?
To being out, man. All you gotta do is one more semester. You just gotta fucking bang it. Anyway, so second I left fucking FSU, you know how much I fucking learned? Creating this podcast, doing all this shit, I learned so much fucking more.
No,
it was
exactly.
insane, bro. It was insane, because I even thought, like, all the shit they were teaching me, I already knew. I'm like, fucking English. Like, they were telling me shit, like, high school, like, bibliography.
No,
Like, bro,
exactly.
like, come on.
And like that's honestly what so much of college is. It's just literally regurgitating stuff you've been told. And I mean, that's even what finals week is, man. Like they put such an importance on it. And even schools, like the schools themselves are the ones that contribute the most to that whole like culture of like pulling all-nighters and all that type of stuff. Cause like the schools are the ones that leave the libraries open all night long.
Yeah.
They're the ones that put like an ungodly amount of pressure on you. They're the ones that like basically tell the professors to make it worth 30% of your grade, whatever. So it forces you to cram, forces you to regurgitate, and forces you to like not
Push
sleep
yourself.
for 4
Yeah.
days.
So let's stop right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to just hook this up real quick, and then I have another question to ask you. I think you're going to like this one, okay?
Alrighty.
All right, you bastards, I'm back. I'm sorry about all these technical difficulties. I'm now locked in with the cable. But you guys won't even see it really on YouTube, and even on the podcast shit, you guys will be fine. So we were talking about school, and we were talking about the undue pressure they put on you.
And authority figures.
Yeah, all that shit. So do you think that, like, they kind of fill this need for, like, because smart drugs?
Okay.
Can we talk about this a little bit?
I mean, this is an entirely different topic. And, you know, again, it's another
Pushing yourself, though, beyond your physical limits, you know? Or what
Yeah.
people think, like, they need to push themselves beyond.
And I mean, that's another completely different conversation, because even that varies person by person. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you know, I've always kind of subscribed to the idea that anything in moderation is fine in the long run.
Yeah.
Like I mean, obviously just don't do heroin, kids, or meth. Like just don't go there. But still, like stuff like that. Like I know, I mean, probably 80% of the people I know that have become very successful did it without any of that type of stuff, and they have never touched anything. And like that type of stuff, like if you feel like you can use it to like do better than you would otherwise, then honestly, sure. Like unless you have like personal like moral qualms with like doing that, like you feel like you're cheating or whatnot. Like
We aren't telling you to do anything. This is just an opinion-based podcast.
I mean, exactly. And like, for example, like Adderall, whatever, like I'm prescribed it. So it's not like I'm just, you know, it's not like I'm just like buying it off another kid and just using it for like finals.
Recreationally, yeah.
Yeah. But like that type of thing, like the only time it goes downhill is when you start using it as a crutch. And that's my opinion of just, you know, drugs and substances as a whole. Like if you just use it like sporadically and you achieve the purpose you want to get out of it and you just go back to your life, then whatever, like no harm done really. But if you start using it as a crutch, like,
But see, that's where it gets wonky for me. Because think about it, like, you don't want to use those things as a crutch because then they just need to be part of your daily routine.
exactly.
But what do the pharmacies and the doctors want? They don't give you, here's one a week, take when needed. No, they say, here, take one every single day.
Well, yeah. And I mean that, again, it's different if you have a prescription, because even if you have a prescription and you don't need it as much as you're prescribed for and you just use it periodically, again, more power to you if you're able to do that. But like just because it says, like, again, rules are meant to be
Followed.
bent. You know, it just depends on the circumstance, depends on the substance, depends on
You have to
the
know your
person.
body.
Yeah,
like, know how you feel.
there's no one size fits all, but just as a general rule, though, one thing that's more or less unanimous, for example, Adderall, like I have experience with it, obviously. it has the ability to make time pass quicker, make boring ass activities seem fun and interesting.
Or like monotonous, just like grinding.
Exactly.
Shit.
Like you're able to talk better, communicate with people better, understand people better. Like overall, it makes you better at everything aside from eating and getting a boner. So for most people,
You heard it.
For most people, it's really, really easy to start enjoying that and also using it as a crutch. Like it just depends on the state of mind you're in when you start doing stuff. Cause like if you only take it to like escape like boring activities, so to speak, then the next time you do a boring activity,
it's going to really
and
suck.
you don't have it, you're going to be like, oh man, this is like the worst thing in the world. I just wish I could take one right now, blah, blah. And it is a form of addiction in and of itself. Just even if you are just taking it daily, you're dependent on it.
Yeah.
And frankly, like even if you have ADHD, like if it's really bad, whatever, if we're just going back to like primal human behavior, whatever, no one needs to be on like pharmaceutical meth to be able to be a functioning human, even if you can't focus to save your life. However, and this is like a pharmaceutical thing too, like I'm really happy we're in the 21st century, about to be the roaring 20s all over again, to where we have that ability to like improve our deficits and put us like at a normal human level of functioning, like even mentally.
Yeah.
However, it's just limiting yourself and not trying to like use something to, I don't know, because it's honestly like trying to keep a car redlined at all times.
Yeah, it's just
it's just not sustainable. Like,
but that's insane. Like, don't you think that like if a doctor prescribes somebody, like I know kids are prescribed 30, I know kids are prescribed 45, I know kids prescribed 60 a day, and they're supposed to take it every single day.
And that's milligrams, not little pills, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, I just already did the conversion in my head. Anyways, don't you think that that's like a little too much? Like any of that shit, I think every single day is definitely going to have probably negative effect on you, because there needs to be like pull-off time. Like, don't you need to be actually like, I am Magnum right now. I'm not Magnum on something. Or I'm Graham, not Graham on something.
I mean, as far as like the amount prescribed, like that type of stuff, it's not really relevant for like dependency. Like it is, but it's not, because like different body types, like I'm tall guy, whatever, like
high metabolism.
Yeah, exactly. Like just by my body type, like I will need more of just about anything to feel the same as like the stereotypical person, like an average size, average weight individual. So just based off that alone, no, that's not really a determining factor. And also, as far as like majority of drugs and stuff, like you gain a tolerance to it. It doesn't matter what it is. So like your normal can like things just stop being effective after a while, especially if it is like the type of substance like Adderall, to where your brain just becomes accustomed to it. But when it does, and all of a sudden you don't have it, like as far as Adderall goes, there's like a dopamine baseline. Like the dopamine supply in your brain, like say it's at like 100 units to begin with. When you take Adderall, even a tiny dose for the first time ever, it shoots up to 110. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if you take it once and then go like never touch it again for like 2 days, whatever, until the drug's out of your system, that dopamine level will be at say 95 units just after the one time, because it spiked to 110. And then say you keep taking the 5 milligrams or whatever, and your dopamine level stays at 110 elevated. Obviously you feel great. You're like, this is the greatest thing on the planet. I love it, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually you just start getting accustomed to that level.
That 110.
Yeah. And then that becomes your new 100. That becomes your new normal state. And all of a sudden, if you're not taking that 5 milligrams, all of a sudden you're back down to 95 or whatever. And all of a sudden you're at a deficit if you don't have it. So that's why people continue upping the dose until all of a sudden you're at like a massive difference between like your
baseline
stimulated state and your like baseline natural state without being on anything. And the differences are like quite substantial. Like it's when you're feeling that, like you can't really get out of bed, like you just want to sleep and eat. End of list. Like, so in that sense, it is really good to just like allow yourself the time to rest and recover and anything else.
But do you think that like the doctors kind of don't really allow that to keep happening? You know, do you think it's overprescribed?
Oh, it definitely is.
I mean, 100%.
I mean, I know multiple people that have it that don't need it and don't even take it, and they just straight up sell it. Like, that's really common just because even it's a controlled substance for a reason. Like,
yeah, like
come on now.
But like the doctors just keep fucking throwing it out there, throwing it out there, throwing it out there.
To be fair, it is harder to get than it ever has been. And I mean, even me, like when I was like younger, like literally years ago, I had to sit in a room with like a psychologist and go through like 5 hours of testing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was diagnosed with ADD with, flying colors. However, I still had to go through the testing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they aren't handing out like fucking pot cards.
Depends on the doctor and how much you pay them.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I think that's a little fucked up though. I even thought like, never mind. I'm not gonna get into that. That's too much right now.
But one thing I just want to say, I don't think you wrote it down, but having, difficulty focusing in that's realistically why I'm not the greatest student in the world, because I just don't retain information when I'm just supposed to sit there and just read along, whatever. Like,
how the fuck are you supposed to?
I mean, my brain goes literally everywhere but the classroom and the material. Like, I'm thinking about everything but that, because it's just so like mind-numbingly boring.
That's how you've built an M5 and tuned it to fuck. Have Invea, have a BMWfueled page. And I'm sure you got a ton of other bullshit that you do.
By the way, guys, if you're watching this, I build websites, I do graphic design, logos, all sorts of stuff. Just hit my line. Like, that's pretty much why I've become like so like entrepreneurial focused. Is just because like I know damn well I'm not going to be able to have a boss, because when I'm managing myself, and like I know how everybody at this point in this age knows how our brains work.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to manage myself just fine. And I can get everything done that I have to do really well, and then also start something new just whenever my, crackhead brain tells me to. Because frankly, a lot of stuff is really impulsive. Like, none of these ideas, like these businesses that I've come up with are just like, oh, I'm going to self-teach myself Photoshop today. Like, none of these things were thought out before I did it. Like,
you just fucking banged
pretty much everything has been impulsive. And like, that's how the majority of entrepreneurs are. We're just like shotgun type personalities, where it's just like, all right, wherever something lands, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
Cause like, it's more fun just to be doing something than to just be like vegging out on the couch and just, go to work on Monday, clock in, clock out. Like, that's never been an option for me, just because like I would hate my life.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be able to like,
you hate monotony.
Yeah, exactly.
You need something new, something exciting, something eventful to go on and
and like even day-to-day stuff, like when I'm at school, like I need to have those creative outlets for myself, or else I just start to go like full on stir crazy.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not able to create things, if I'm not able to have like some aspect of control over my life, I'm just.
So are you in a sense artistic?
I mean, I'm glad you didn't say autistic, but I mean, in a way, yeah. Like,
I mean, I think so.
I mean, definitely, yeah. Just because, like, I wouldn't even say artistic.
Art, Photoshop's art. It's all creating.
Yeah, I wouldn't say artistic, because, like, if you were to put a paintbrush in my hand, I would look at you like you were an alien species. But like, I'm just able to like visualize a final product of something when I'm just looking at like raw materials, if you will. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, I'm able to like, even just working with my hands, like I'm just naturally good at like creating in a sense.
Gotcha.
And I can kind of like visualize how I want something to turn out. And then it doesn't matter if like my route of getting there is like, okay, first I'm here, I'm way over here. I'll like take a road trip to India, then like come back and like, chill at the tennis house, then like go here, then Home Depot. Like, even it's just the way I tell stories. Like, nothing's ever like a straight line for me.
No.
But you
always get to the finish line.
I always get to the finish line in a much cooler vehicle than everybody else. I'll just say that.
That's a pretty good way to put it. You want to go into politics a little bit?
Sure.
What are your thoughts on politics today? Let's start out easy. This is what I've been doing, and I think I'm going to keep doing it.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Trump, bro?
I mean, honestly, everything that there is to say or think about has been said publicly, and everybody's heard it. So I'm not asking for revolutionary ideas.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, what do you think about him? What do you think about the whole situation that's going on right now? He's getting fucking impeached.
Honestly,
he has been impeached. He just hasn't been convicted of the charges against him.
yeah. Honestly, the fact that he has been impeached, that is like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's okay.
Just a show.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Fucking
like,
for CNN, the fucking liberal news media. This is what it is, bro. I guarantee this is how it actually happened. The Democrats are in cahoots with CNN and NBC. Their fucking numbers were tanking. I guarantee Trump has a poll that shows their numbers were tanking because they didn't have any image of Trump. You know, they didn't have any good shit on him, and they needed to fucking impeach him. So the head at CNN, fucking Don Lemon and Wolf Blitzer got together with Rachel Maddow and said, okay, let's talk to Nancy Pelosi and see if they can get him impeached.
okay,
you think?
I mean, honestly, anything's possible. I'm not going to try to pretend like I know about our government that well. But as a
Do you
general
like Trump?
rule, I don't like him. I don't hate him. I mean,
No real thoughts on him?
I mean, obviously I have thoughts on him, but all of that's opinion. Like,
Yeah, but I want to hear your opinions.
okay. He, as far as his public image and all that, he really is kind of a bonehead. Like he should not be. It's fine for shock value because, again, like at the end of the day, like I see myself as a businessman of sorts. Like any publicity is good publicity, but like
Not when you're president.
the dude's already won the election. All right,
like he's already winning.
pulling the same tactics that he was when he was trying to get himself elected. Like I can understand pandering to your fan base, which unfortunately for him is like individuals that should be on like the People of Walmart Facebook page. And like the guys that have like Confederate flags in the back of their pickup trucks that roll coal on you.
But I think initially, like his fan base wasn't as much like that. All right, sure, that was his main base.
Well,
but the people
those
that
were
he
the
was
most vocal
the people,
supporters.
yeah, but the people
Yeah.
that he won over, truthfully, was the middle. The middle that thought,
Exactly.
well, even though he fucks porn stars, even though he's a bit brash,
I mean, for
he's
me,
a businessman.
for me, those are good points just because it shows that he's a real person.
Yeah.
Like, I respect somebody that's just like unashamed to like be who they are.
Yeah.
And is just like open about that. And it's just like, okay, take me for what I am. This is what I'm going to do. Like, as far as like his message, you don't have to agree with everything that he says. You don't have to agree. You don't have to like his spray tan. You don't have to like, there's more to electing an official in the United States than just like liking the guy as a person. Like, I mean, I respect him. I'll say that much. Just because I don't respect the things that he says sometimes. I don't agree with a lot of stuff for a lot of people, but I can still respect somebody as a person for just being themselves and just not pandering. That's it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. He's just kind of... It's kind of all over the place, you know? But I think, here's what I was going to say. Fuck, I kind of like forgot my shit a little bit. He went to the middle, and the middle was like, thought there was hope for him. They thought, like, I know, because I know some middle people that voted for him. They thought, well, he's a little crazy, he's a little cuckoo, but that's fucking fine. At least he's a businessman. At least because he was a Democrat at some point, you know, him and Hillary were friends. Like, we saw, like, well, maybe he's not a crazy Republican.
Well, yeah, he definitely was, and you know, technically kind of still is an outsider into the politics world.
But now he's just said, I'm King Cock Republican, come at me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fucked. So would you vote, are you going to vote in 2020?
I mean, I plan on it, yeah.
Who do you think you're going to vote for?
Honestly, no idea yet. And my stance on that is just, again, from a business standpoint, like I can relate to things like, because of my family's background in business and whatnot, like I know all about, like, his biggest things have been the trade war with China, lowering corporate taxes in the U.S., lowering personal taxes, all that. And because I've seen...
Hello? This might be the internet guy, so give me a second.
It definitely is.
What's up? We're back again. We still don't have internet because that wasn't the internet guy, but it's no worry. We're going to get right back into talking about politics.
Once we get more subs, you will have probably just watched a couple ads. Gotta get that bread.
If I get monetized.
Yeah.
You know what though? Fuck YouTube right now. Like, I've been checking out some of their shit. Like, YouTube's cool. I think it's still the best platform to put out like a video and stuff.
I mean, it's either YouTube or TikTok.
Yeah,
so,
like I'm not going to use TikTok. I already talked about that in the last podcast.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like, come on. I can't. But all this shit they're doing, like, they're really trying to push people out. But the good thing is, like, that's monetization way. Like when it comes to actually general videos, they won't kick you off unless you're doing really like I think crazy shit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so back into 2020.
Yep.
You voting?
Yeah, I definitely will be voting as to who I'm voting for. Honestly, I'll approach that as it comes.
Do you see yourself as a Democrat or Republican?
Moderate. I mean,
Moderate?
I would say fiscally conservative, socially liberal.
That's pretty good.
You know, or
description, I'd say.
if I was to like put a actual label on myself, I would say like Republican, but like cool Republican. Like definitely
like modern Republican.
Exactly. Do whatever the hell you want, marry who you want to marry, smoke what you want to smoke. I don't care and I don't want to interfere and I don't want the government to interfere.
See, that's
but taxation is theft.
I mean, I agree somewhat. I think that there's a pay to play kind of,
Yeah.
You know, like you got to pay something. You're in fucking America. They got fucking guns and walls protecting you.
I mean, my individual belief is just a flat tax. And that's a very business-like approach to it, but it also makes a lot of sense. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you make. I don't care what you don't make. I don't care what your background is.
Here's how much it costs to be an American.
Here's the percentage. Pay it.
That seems pretty reasonable.
I mean, honestly, it is. Like, you can continue all the programs on the side, but as far as the tax code's always changing here and there, like, just set, even if it's a lower rate.
Yeah, but what happens if someone makes, like, 20 grand a year and you're charging them 30%?
That's why I'm saying the other programs, like, there can still be a threshold. Cause, like,
so there should still be social programs that pick up the slack of, like, what poor people need.
To an extent, but they should also have a timeline on them. Like, someone that should not be on welfare for
Their entire life.
an infinite amount of time
Yeah.
if they're just actively not searching for a job or something like that. And like it's really easy for this type of conversation to sound like you're being brash or
Yeah.
just uncaring, whatever. And you know what? All these types of systems are flawed because fundamentally they have not changed since, you know, FDR's New Deal after the Depression. Like, it's been damn near 100 years, and fundamentally
There's been very little social reforms.
Exactly. We're still trying to use antiquated social programs in a modern society that soon enough most minimum wage jobs won't even exist in, say, 15 years. And also, like, another thing with the taxes, like, it doesn't matter if you took 100% of the income of America's, like, 20 richest individuals for a calendar fiscal year, whatever. That money would just go into a black hole of debt and no one would have any idea what happened.
Are you fearful of the national debt?
I mean, again, to quote the Wolf of Wall Street, it's fugazi, it's fugazi, it's a floozy,
It's a woozy, it's a fairy dust.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
so you think that
type
our
of
debt is
thing-
just fairy dust?
I mean, obviously it's not, but every country on earth has debt. So at
We
the same
have
time,
like a fuck ton though.
I know that. And every politician promises, "Oh, I'm gonna eliminate the debt." Blah, blah, blah.
I mean,
It never happens, and eventually it just depends on who we're indebted to. That could be problematic because, you know, no one in their right mind
it's
wants
whoever owns our bonds, which is,
Exactly.
I mean, fuck, I could have some of America's debt
exactly.
if I bought a bond.
I mean,
but
I know I
China
have a
has a
handful.
ton of them.
Yeah.
You know, like, what do you think? Like, but think about this. If so, I take on what $100 worth of America's debt, and then they, you know, it's 25 trillion, say. And then they just say it's a fugazi, it's a fugazi, it's a voazi, it's a woozy, it's fairy dust. Go fuck yourself.
Well, I mean,
How the fuck am I gonna feel? Like they just stole $100 from me?
all I meant by that was that regardless of, at least for the time being, nothing drastic is going to happen, in my opinion. No matter who's elected, like what I was starting to get into, like my family's like business background. Like, yes, Trump lowered the corporate tax, whatever. However, we do a lot of importation work. We control our manufacturing overseas in China. So even with the lower like corporate taxes and all that, the increase in importation duties and tariffs and all that type of stuff on our materials, on our production, importation, exportation, it's literally evened out to where it's no different than it was in the Obama era.
Yeah.
Like, there has not, and that's largely what happens. It's a push and pull. It's just like, from a business standpoint, for the most part, unless you're in one of those select few groups that either gets really screwed or really lucky, or you're just friends with the Trump family, you know, because I'm not going to deny that that's happened, obviously. But like, unless you're in one of those select few groups, largely you're just not really impacted all that much. Like one part of your business might become more successful, another part might get hurt.
Yeah.
Just depending on the current administration, who's changing what. And it's largely the same thing with this debt, because none of us have any control over it. I mean, come on now. That's entirely created, and it keeps rising because of our politicians'
Just as like a
decisions.
country, like, don't you feel like we have negative money? Imagine if you're fucking a broke person.
But we keep printing it.
Exactly,
And we're
but
always
what the
able to
fuck?
buy stuff. We're
Yeah,
always
but
able to
how's
fund
that
things.
work? It's like all right, I live a life like I make 10 mil a year, but in reality, I lose 15. Okay, so or I make 10, I lose 15, I'm down 5 every fucking year. But I keep buying new Lambos and shit and just putting them on payments, putting them on credit cards, all this shit. Someday, somebody's gonna say, hey, motherfucker, give me your goddamn money.
I mean, if that was me, I hope I'd croak before the IRS knocks on my door. But
Yeah, but what about the United States? Are we just gonna say, "Oh, I hope the U.S. dies before this shit happens"? No,
well, definitely not. Definitely
like,
not.
Is the U.S. gonna fucking
I mean,
implode?
you,
like,
you
what?
can crash at my pad in Canada, but hey.
So what do you think about that? Like, how are they gonna? How can we? Like, what's the deal with this debt?
Again, it'll either take something seriously catastrophic to happen, i.e. another depression, which again, if that's not solved, it's a real possibility, or it'll take just drastic steps in the other direction, i.e. someone comes in and just slashes damn near everything.
Yeah,
And,
like
you
no
know,
spending.
Yeah, exactly, and just forces it, like even the citizens, ends the welfare programs, ends everything, because like there is something of a case study. Like it was happened in this basically happened in one of Canada's provinces in, I believe, the mid to late 80s. Like a more conservative politician came in and ended all the programs, ended all the wasteful spending, basically enacted new policies and tariffs and like reduced the tariffs and did a lot of stuff to promote business and like economic development in the region. And they went from being horribly in debt and at a massive deficit that was climbing to eventually having a surplus. And it took maybe 3 years. I'm not a Canadian historian.
Yeah, I have no
Don't quote me
idea.
on that, but there is definitely something like that happened. I mean, in somewhat modern times. Again, that's my dad's a Canadian here, and he has mentioned that before. So it's kind of what I'm going off of. But like, it's either going to take something catastrophic. Well, it is going to take something catastrophic. It's just a matter of whether it's
gonna suck for somebody.
I mean, when you're trillions, when you're more in debt than there is a total of like bills circulating in your country and more assets in the country, like there's no good way out of that. There's no good option. Just like as far as electing a president, there's no good option.
Yeah.
Like pretty much by definition, if someone is running for president and they're on the ticket, they're going to be a fairly slimy individual, and none of their ideas are original. And none of their ideas are that good for 90% of the American people. That's just by definition just how politics is.
So you have more like a business look at politics, right?
Definitely.
So
yeah.
what do you think of like Andrew Yang? Like he was a businessman, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, as far as his like universal basic income, I forget exactly what he calls it. Maybe it's like the freedom, whatever. But
Freedom dividend, maybe?
that's it. That may theoretically be possible if AI and robotics can replace a lot of mundane jobs. That is a very realistic possibility for the future if the cost of producing these robots and technologies gets low enough to where like small businesses and like people are able to deploy them in place of themselves. That is very possible. And even if each person had...
But you'd have to up taxes and all that shit to get that to happen, right? Because, I mean, how the fuck are we going to pay for it? We're in
right
20...
now.
Yeah. Like,
right now,
it's impossible.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But, however, for the future, that type of thing could become a reality, but...
Then you just have to tax profits, though, right?
No one's ever... There's never going to be a truly utopian society.
Yeah, never.
Something's got to give for something else to take. Doesn't matter what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, even if the minimum wage increases to $30 an hour, you know, everything else is going to increase at the same rate, including prices and taxes.
Yeah.
Like, bottom line, like, it has been disproportionate. Like, look at the cost of college.
Yeah, that shit's got crazy.
Another reason that's ridiculous, like, honestly, props to NYU and their medical program, because they became the first tuition-free medical school in the U.S. without increasing the number of spots. So literally, NYU is going to start producing the absolute best medical students and doctors in the world, solely because they eliminated tuition from private grants. Not a government thing, by the way. Not talking on like government mandated Bernie Sanders free university, because it was privately funded. And also that is going to become the most competitive
environment,
school and environment in the world to get into.
Yeah.
Because it's tuition free. Like to get in there, you're going to already have to be the best of the best.
Yeah, I was talking to Colton. I don't know if you watched the interview. And he was like, yeah, it's going to cost me, or medical school costs about $90,000 a year.
I mean, me personally, I don't want to be a doctor anyway. I don't like blood. I don't like needles. But hey, for $90,000 a year, if I would have already taken that on by now, which theoretically I could have. I mean, shit, man, I'd rather just start paying off my Ferrari.
Yeah.
Like, and a Porsche on the side.
Yeah, that's a fuck ton.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let's just talk. You want to talk a little bit about your family business? You've mentioned that a few times. It's given you, it seems like, a lot of point of views and a different perspective on life. So
yeah, sure. I mean, I'll go into that briefly, just because I've done some work for them, and also, I mean, I it's a small family business. Like it's not some multinational corporation. I mean, it was founded by my parents in 1997, and it's operated in Cleveland.
So what exactly do you guys do?
It's in the emergency response and life safety industry. So they manufacture everything from hazmat decontamination, showers, shelters, to like military rescue boats, to mortuary response products, to...
So it's manufacturing shit.
It's manufacturing, and then it's all sold through distribution.
Gotcha.
So there's no selling direct to an end user unless the end user is a distributor.
A hospital.
Yeah, exactly. And even the hospitals buy through our distributors that we're authorized. Like we go and we do trade shows and product demos and stuff like that. And even I go to them and help out. But at the end of the day, it's all done through distribution. And then like the assembly of raw materials and like the initial stages of production are done overseas, and then final assembly and like finishing touches and all that, it's done domestically. That's
interesting. So what do you do for him? What have you done for him?
I am the IT guy, actually.
You're
very surprising. Yeah, I built their brand new website, putting the finishing touches on that. It's already live, but still editing it as we go and just making changes as I need to. And I create the literature for them. I create like the advertisements, basically. Manage the systems in the office, like configure their phones, their Wi-Fi, their internet, make sure everything's up to date and working.
Gotcha.
Like when I'm there. And then I also travel like with my dad and do like trade shows and travel and like help him sell things, basically.
So is that what you're going to go into in the future out of college? Probably.
Yeah. Realistically, I mean, I'm already going to be moving back to Cleveland after this like school year, actually. So I'll be back up in Cleveland starting in like early to mid June. And then also going to be going to Germany for a week and a half for like the largest like trade show for his industry.
So it's a pretty cool like little gig.
Oh, definitely. Like I'll get to travel the world and
check out shit.
Yeah, exactly. Do my thing.
So is that like, so why are you going to school if you have a job lined up already?
That's a good question, Magnum.
Yeah, it is. Especially because you hate school so much.
Oh yeah, it is. And the answer is, I kind of like hitting a little yellow ball around sometimes.
You like playing tennis?
Occasionally.
So that's why you go to school? It's because you play?
It's a really shit reason when we like say it out loud.
Fuck, it's a baffling reason right now.
Sometimes you never understand why you do things. It's just...
You do it.
Yep.
So that's why?
I mean, I've been doing it my entire life, and that was always kind of the path that was... I don't want to say predestined.
Yeah.
Just because, it was like me physically like going through all the work, and it was not all like sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah,
There was, the whole junior tennis thing definitely has a bad aftertaste to it at this point. But, just because of the amount of training that I did and the amount of tournaments that I played and the amount of exposure that I got as a result, it was largely like that was just where I was going to end up.
Yeah.
Like obviously the details were up for grabs.
So you don't feel like breaking that system at all? You're just like, fuck it, like I might as well play and enjoy this.
I've always been like the type of person to just make decisions like that based on like, okay, what is the best option right now? Like, believe me, if I get to the point with one of my own startups to where it's like it's generating an income that's viable to live off of with no support from anybody else, and I can be entirely self-sufficient and take that on full time, which it's entirely possible. Like I already have like thousands in investor funding like for that. But at this present moment, if I was to just quit school and quit being on the team and all that, like I would literally be back home sitting on my ass in Bradenton with largely nothing to show for it otherwise. Like, again, there's no better option for me where I'm at right now in my life than to continue with what I'm doing. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if I graduate 4 years, get a business degree, and finish out my time as like a Division I tennis player, like...
It's not bad.
I mean, come on now, like
for posterity,
who would I be to be complaining about that?
Yeah,
like let's be real here. Like the only way I would change that, like obviously, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're not gonna like some of the details in it, but like sometimes you got to look at it from like someone else's perspective and just be like, damn, like okay, like that's kind of the life.
That's a good life.
Like people would like fucking kill for like that to be their lives. So like I'm not gonna waste it, and I'm not just gonna squander that just because I have an idea that like could potentially become a thing. Like I'm going to put in the work to make it a thing on the side. Cause I want that to be my life once I'm done with school one way or another. However, I'm not just going to jump the gun too soon and like ruin a good thing just for the hell of it.
I get that. And I mean, you're not liking school, but do you enjoy the social part and stuff like that? And
I mean, you can
a little bit.
As far as the social thing about university, like it's different for everybody. Like the main reason people love college so much is because it's their first taste of freedom. Yeah. If you will. Like you and me both in this aspect, like school is like more equated to like jail than it is freedom. That's like for damn most kids when they go to school, like in high school and that, like they were pretty much kept on a leash. Yeah. Whereas like me and this dude, like, I mean, I had more freedom when I was 16 than I do now when I'm like at school. Yeah, exactly. Like the only freedom you really have at school is to be a complete degenerate.
Yeah, that's the problem with it.
Exactly.
Like that's your only way to express yourself and your uniqueness. But that's the thing I was thinking about, and I'm like, it's amazing how it's more common to party in college than it is in high school, right? But it's all the kids that didn't party in high school just want to be like those cool kids in high school. That's all it is. All they're doing is trying to follow the trend, but they're too fucking late. It's like, oh, now you're partying with everyone. Now you're not unique. When you did it in high school, like kids that like really partied, it was kind of cool, whatever.
I mean, I've always just looked at that as like like again, there's no nobility in like being like a nun and just not doing anything, and like there also is sure as hell like nothing to be proud of for like going out every damn night and like like at the end of the day, like that doesn't impact who you are as a person at all, in my opinion. Like because people go through phases, man. Like obviously there were some times to where like I would want to go out every single day during a week and just get blasted all the time, and like I thought it was great fun, and that's especially true when you first get to school, but eventually you realize like, all right, like it's basically Groundhog Day. Like I'm just repeating the exact same, like when it starts to feel like even going out is like a routine
or it's a hassle.
I mean, yeah, even a hassle, but like when it starts to feel just like that GTA meme, shit, here we go again. Like when it starts to get like that, it's just like, all right, like you need to take a step back, because then you're just wasting your own time. And like, especially like I'm just using us two as an example. Like we were doing crazier shit when we were like 17 years old than most people get into in college. So like when we do that in college and all of a sudden we show up at some frat party and you basically have to square up with like a linebacker on like a Division 14 football team to get to like half a case of Natty Light in the basement. and like the place
Yeah.
smells like stale, like dried beer and like
piss.
and body odor. It's like you cannot pay me to want to be there.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing in my head that's like, oh wow, this is fun.
Yeah.
It's like more like, oh, this is like hell. Like, can I go now?
I almost think that like that's a problem too with sheltering a ton of kids and shit. You know, imagine if you didn't shelter someone. You showed them at 14. You know, you showed them this is what life is like. Like, this is what the real fucking world. You can party. Listen, 14-year-old Magnum and Graham, you can do whatever.
That's basically what happened with us. Like we were
Yeah,
were
but I'm just
like,
looking at objectively. I'm just saying. So it's like you can see that, and then you think it's cool shit when I'm 14, but then by the time you're 16, you're like, or 8, let's just say 18 and be
18,
safe.
19, realistically.
You're like, what the fuck's the point? You know? And now it's not new to you. It's not something fresh.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, fuck this. Like, I'm done with it, you know? So you've already been exposed. And I think kids that are sheltered and kids that are kept hidden from all the truth and just people in general, they go to college and, oh my God, it's a free-for-all. It's so amazing. It's so cool. It's so fun. You get to get fucked up and do all this shit.
And that's,
Bro.
I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Don't
honestly.
you see the toxicness of it?
I mean, it's
Toxicity, sorry.
Yeah, like that's a very real thing, and I mean it's especially true. I would say it like actually scratch that. Like I would, because you went to Florida State for a little bit, and then I've been at like a small to mid-sized like private school for a year and a half now, like 3 semesters total, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, at least at my school, like the vast majority of the kids there, like I did online high school, so like. I like had very little of like the high school social scene, which to be honest, I don't regret anything because like I wouldn't have, knowing myself, I wouldn't have liked it that much to begin with.
No.
And the majority of the people at my school are the people that graduated from, you guessed it, private high schools, like for St. Stephen's, just a local example, to where they were like groomed to be like prepared for that environment. Yeah. And like they know the process. Like even now, like I've been there for a while. If you ask me to name like 3 frats offhand or 3 sororities, well, sororities I'd be better at, but 3 frats, I would probably struggle after 3. One of them that I obviously know was my dad's, but you know, they don't even have that one at my school.
Yeah, so I got you.
Like, I'm just not like really with like the college culture because like it's never impacted me in any way. Yeah. Like it's never really been like a part of my life in that sense. Like even in high school.
It's like the indoctrination system.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you start out and you're institutionalized and you go to high school, right? Yeah. And you're just chilling in high school. But what are you looking to? You're looking to go to your daddy's frat, or you're looking to go to some frat and to live it up in college. And that's the problem. It's holding back all those years in high school that you want to just fucking pop off, you know? Yeah. If they just would show you, listen, this is the real world. Take from it what you will. And then they get to college and they're like, well, shit, the stuff that I was looking forward to so much, that's what happened with me. I remember that's why I went to Florida State. I'm like, fuck it. Like, you know, I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to live it up. You know, I'm going to enjoy myself. I've been kind of grinding throughout high school, but I'd already seen some shit in high school, you know? And then I got, you laugh.
Oh, yeah.
And then I get to fucking college and I'm looking around and I'm like, this ain't that fucking great.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, this is not the idealized fantasy that I was thinking of, you know?
Oh, I mean, it was the same thing for me. Like, especially, and I mean, my point of view, like, because I did online high school, it's like, okay, like, I'm looking back and like everybody, like it's just a thing in the U.S. that I've noticed. Like, everybody like romanticizes high school. It's like they treat it like, this is like such an amazing time in your life. Like, frankly, no, it sucks. Like, there's nothing like fun or like amazing about it, frankly. Like, literally, I did not go to a actual high school for 3 years.
Yeah.
My final 3 years. And, you know, and I got the same degree. It's worth the same amount as somebody that went to like the most prestigious high school in the country. Same diploma, yeah. Same diploma at the end of the day. I took the same classes, everything else. Like there's, it is what it is. Like, it's just not trying to make something that it's not out of it, you know? Yeah. Like it's just a process. Like, sure, it is an achievement in a sense. Like you went through the process and you successfully finished it. Like, nice job. And, you know, college is kind of the same thing. Yeah. In that sense that like people make it into like like a drastically bigger deal than it really is.
Yeah, it's job training.
Exactly. No,
You
it's
know?
yeah, it's
like you're
job
filling
and
your training
job
course.
and compliance training.
Yeah.
Because like for the most part, like, and this is maybe one of my, hotter takes personally, but like at the end of the day, if someone's going to be a successful entrepreneur, you either have it or you don't.
Yeah,
like that's how I look at
or
it.
not.
Like, because if you have it, you've probably been doing it since way before you were even like
Conscious.
old enough to know like what you were doing. Like, I've been told I was like literally like stealing pens from people in my parents' office when I was like 5 years old.
So
like,
you've been
going
a thief
back
your entire life. I'm fucking with you.
but like taking stuff and like trying to like sell it for like a quarter to like my parents' own employees. Like, I didn't even know I was doing stuff like that, but like, maybe I was a thief, but still, it's just like
It's
you
the
either have
mindset.
it or you don't.
Yeah.
Like, whether you have formal training or like college education, whatever, like if you're actually going to be successful and like how to work with people and how to sell something, you're going to do it no matter what your background is in some capacity. Like some things just can't be taught and can't be learned in school. And those are the most valuable life skills.
Well said. I think that's a great place as any to stop it. You good with that?
Yeah. All right. See you
All
guys.
right. This has been Graham. I think it's been a little chunky. We've had a few cuts, whatever. I'm sorry about
it'll
that.
It'll be edited.
But
it.
I try not to edit my shit, but some of the parts of this just need to be cut and cleaned. Other than that, I feel like this was a pretty fucking good podcast. I'm thankful for Graham coming on. Both of his pages will be linked down below along with mine. Go follow magnum.traub on Instagram.
Like and subscribe and follow.
Yeah. Thanks for the plugs.
I mean,
Graham.
by the way, I'll follow back, y'all. Like, come on.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He loves
exactly.
following
I'm
back.
a great guy. Please don't send me dick pics.
He'll like him. He really wants one. All right, guys. Thanks.